Good morning once again. If you're tuning in, this is still KBC Channel 1 and you're watching Good Morning Kenya. I'm Regina Manyara. Now, just want to highlight to you a story that made headlines some few weeks ago. A bullet that killed Yasin Moyo matches a cop's pistol. Now, that is according to the Independent Policing Oversight Authority that says that Yasin's murder was premeditated. This morning, we're talking to parents drawn from different parts of the country to just share their, uncertainties and challenges in parenting. No one would want to lose a child in such a gruesome manner, because children are who they define who parents are. We're going to be hearing from different parents, and I'd want to encourage you that you keep logged in on our various platforms that include Facebook Live and YouTube too. Our website is www.kbc.co.ke. Some of the issues we're going to be highly pointing out is the latest report on the increased number of teenage pregnancy. What do parents have to say? I'd want to rope in my guests this morning. I'm sure you can see them on the screen. Different participants drawn from different... I'm saying good morning to the parents who are on board on KBC Kids Talk this morning. Thank you for waving. At least I can identify a few on the screen there, courtesy of the children that come on board every Thursday to discuss issues around them. So this morning, we're not focusing on children. We are focusing on their parents and guardians. What are their challenges? Parenting, especially, in these current times of COVID-19, where the children have been out of school for several months. The change in the school calendar, how will this then affect the children, especially those who are parents to candidates? What's their take on that? Further than that, we're also going to be learning from the parents who are coming on board on our meeting this morning under the hashtag KBC Kids Talk, and we're going to be looking at, or rather learning from each other as parents. So if you're a parent, aspiring parent, or a guardian, and you're dealing with a minor, well, this is a platform in which way you're welcome and you can give your feedback. Now, let's start off with our first guest this morning. Now, as we're waiting to get our first guest this morning in the meeting, is that we'd also want to encourage you to also give your feedback. The last time we were having a conversation is that some parents went ahead and shared that they have a secret code in which they communicate with their children to alert them when they are in danger, Especially, we had a run-in with an 11-year-old who someone went to collect them from school, but she was able to tell apart from the person in disguise, from the genuine person who had been sent by the mom, because she was aware of the code that the mom had given her that morning. How about we cross over now to Nakuru County, where we meet Mr. and Mrs. Torotich. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Torotich.
Morning.
Good glad morning. To have you on board.
Thank you.
Great. Maybe you can just introduce yourself, other than just being referred to Mr. and Mrs. Torotich. How about you both individually introduce yourselves?
My name is Luke Torotich. I'm a resident in Nakuru. I work in the university at Egerton University. I'm a parent to two children.
The lady?
My name is Joy Kamau Torotich. I come from Nakuru County. I am a sociologist and also a Sunday school teacher. Thank you. I come from also Nakuru County.
Good. Sunday school teacher there, psychologist, and a lecturer there. That is Mr. and Mrs. Torotich, parents of two children. Now, if we can start off with you as a couple, just you there. Maybe the issue, what challenges have you gone through in as far as parenting is concerned and you'd like to share?
Maybe to start off, first of all, when we look at this season, when the children have been at home with us for 3 months or more, the first challenge has always been managing their time, because we were used to them just going to school in the morning, Monday to Friday. But now this is a whole 7 days and you are with your children all the time, especially they are at home all the time. So they are exposed to the internet, they're exposed to entertainment, they're exposed to communication that they were not used to initially. So our biggest challenge right now is managing the bulk of information that is reaching our children. Sometimes when we are at work and they are at home and they are accessing the internet, like you see on Good Morning Kenya and the kids show, our children have been able to participate online. But now what happens after they go online? What happens when they're exposed to the internet? That's the major issue right now.
Madam Joyce, are those your sentiments, or do you have anything to add on to that?
Those are my sentiments. But also another challenge, apart from the a lot of time we have with the children, is the amount of knowledge they are getting, what they are lacking from not going to school. Of course, we have content that we are giving them, but one of my challenges, they are not getting as much as they would be getting from school.
That is Joyce and Luke Toretiche from Nakuru County. Just an overview of what they have so far shared. The issue of time management, they are worried about the exposure their children are in, especially now that they are home and they have to be on the internet. Well, also the issue of information comes in. There's the issue of, just missing out on proper schoolwork. In as much as they're doing their homework and supervising their children, they feel that their children are missing quite a lot in as far as schooling is concerned. Now, taking you back to Luke and Joyce, what is your take on the new school calendar?
For me, I would say they said we might open in September, but I'm not quite comfortable, because when I consider that the nation closed, or the schools were called off when we had very few cases, less than 100, and now we have over 5,000 cases. My worry is, by September, will the numbers be coming down? Will they have come down, or will they still be many? For us adults, I see, when I go to town, I see many people have gone back to their normal lives. Actually, as a matter of fact, it's only church and school that are not operating. For adults, you can maneuver yourself, you can keep your hands off, but our children want to play with each other. Will the teacher sanitize the books after she has given them to the children, do the homework? Probably the book has gone through my husband, my hands, maybe the house help, and the children there at school, how they are going to play. And we know, for us, we can restrain ourselves, but what about our children? So I am not sure if I'm ready for them to open in September. But we are open in case the cases come down and it's managed, then probably we can open. But I am not sure that I'm ready to release my children in September to go to school. I'd rather keep them and continue doing the 2 hours of education that I'm doing at home in the morning than releasing them out there and I put them at stake. So I am not comfortable with September, but it's subject to discussion according to the curve. If the curve is managed and we are back to normal, then probably I'm okay. But as at now, I'd rather stay home with the kids.
You'd rather stay safe than sorry until things change. That is Mom Joyce Toretich from Nakuru County. I'm wondering, Mr. Luke Toretich, what is your take on the school calendar?
Well, the school calendar is something that we may actually turn ourselves into a small experiment. I know we have done social distancing, we've done hand sanitization, and we have even tried to sanitize our public facilities. But from the point of view of the public university, because I work in the university, you see, we have so many amenities that are shared. Like, for example, toilets. We also have lecture rooms and classrooms and staff rooms. I'm just trying to imagine, do we have the capacity as a country to test? Like, for example, if we were to do this school calendar that we are considering, do we have the capacity as a country to first test all the children before they come to school? Then the second thing is, do we really have the capacity to also test all the teachers? Because you don't want to have a situation where you'll open the schools or the universities and then again you bring the infection to a closed community. It is quite a very delicate balance. And one thing I would advise us as a country, and even from expertise, is let us be, why don't we roll out the school calendar according to counties? There are some counties that have recorded zero COVID-19 transmission. Why don't we start with those counties? We see whether their schools can be open. We monitor them for the first 14 days before we roll out to the whole country, because it can really be similar to what happened in Korea. People opened schools, within 2 weeks they closed them all again. So it is a very big, delicate balance.
Now, since I still have you online, your sentiments, issues of safety for your children, lack of capacity going forward, and also just wondering if the numbers, especially from Joyce there, the numbers if will have gone down. Right now, Kenya has over 5,000 COVID-19 positive cases. Your worry is that will this have numbers have gone down in September? Do the schools, I'm thinking, I'm hearing either public and private schools, you're still worried about their capacity. Since we're talking about this and just looking at it, I'd want to know, would you be of a different thought, Luke, about the reopening gradually, or having a sandbox within the county level, if your kids were candidates?
Now, definitely every parent that has a candidate thinks about the next level, because candidates are in a transit stage. They're leaving one level to go to another, and almost every parent wants to see their children progress. So we can say, given the level of candidates and the number of candidates, it may be a wiser decision to open the schools gradually, specifically for candidates, so that you don't create the backlog that will definitely be there in the education system. If this year you don't have candidates transiting to the next level, definitely next year you'll have a bunch of, it will be almost like a double candidate intake. Okay, so I would really suggest we start first with the candidates. Specifically, we do experiments on those areas where we had minimal or zero infections for corona, so that we can take this group as a test, as an experimental group. We see them report to school within the first 21 days or even 14 days, like the ones recommended by the WHO. We monitor these places if they are going to keep distances. If, for example, the candidates are in a secondary or primary school, secondary is Form 4 are the candidates. So if we can have these candidates spaced out in the classrooms for Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, they are spaced out there. We can try with these candidates. We see whether they are ready, whether the infections will be there or not. Then the same thing again, we can also apply to the primary schools. We have the classrooms like class 1 to class 8, the physical classrooms.
Yes.
You have the class 8s inside those classrooms,
yes,
spaced out.
Spaced out. Now, I direct this question to Joyce, not because I am biased, but I'd want to hear it from a mother. The current report that we had on the increase in teenage pregnancies, from a parent point of view, from a mother point of view, what is your take on this, and what can be done? Because you can imagine as the age of as young as 10, a child begetting another child. Joyce.
Okay. For me, first of all, it's regrettable. Secondly, my biggest concern, why are the children expectant? The pregnancy is just what we are seeing, but there are other aspects.
Yes.
We've not even thought about HIV, hepatitis, and other STIs and STDs. So the pregnancy is just one of the main symptoms that we are seeing. Actually, there are bigger and more underlying issues. It's shocking, but I think at some point as parents, we have failed our children, because these pregnancies are probably from people who are adults. Of course, they are age mates. And I think it's a challenge in parenting from a sociological point of view, because there could be something that the children are looking for. Secondly, we should also not crucify the children, because these children could be pregnant from other aspects. Like, for example, abuse. I don't want to rule out abuse, because I know like almost 50% or even 100% it's abuse, because first of all, teenagers should not be having sex, so it's a form of abuse, like maybe rape. If you follow, you will see the pregnancies are from people that the children know, not strangers, from home, like the uncles, neighbors, and what have you. But I don't rule out that there are children who are engaging in sex which they think they have consented. But still, it comes back to us as parents. Where are we when this is happening? Are we aware where our children are? Who are they with? When we let them go out, what time are they coming? It's very much about monitoring. Maybe as parents, we are too busy with other things. I think especially there's an age group that has, we are busy probably running out looking for money, but we don't have time for our children, even to talk with our children. We are depending on the church and school to take care of our children. Where does sex happen? It happens at home. So I think sex talk should happen at home. We should start from home. When are we taking advantage of the teachable moments where when we see a child has spoken about something, we follow it up. Mtoto ametoa wapi hiyo kitu or that idea. So I think as parents we have failed, as neighbors, as communities, and as men as well. And it's not time to crucify these children. I think if a child comes with a pregnancy, we should find out what is happening. Has this child been raped? Has this child been abused? Has this child been in a relationship with somebody and I was not aware what was happening? I think as parents we need to find out where it started raining and we start fixing it.
We be aware. We be aware.
Yeah, we need to be aware and fix it from that point. But
Dad,
as at now, we should not crucify our children. We should take the bull heads on and handle and embrace our children. Don't chase your child because they are pregnant. I'm not condoning, but I'm saying we should embrace our children and speak out and speak up with each other, and then we address the issue. But if we keep crucifying them, you're having sex, nini, that is where we'll go wrong, and our children, a generation will be forever ruined because we were not careful to talk, we were not careful to monitor, we were not careful to protect. Personally, I think I am trying my best. I have not raised a teenager, but from my church and my community and my children's enthusiasm, I always fight for their rights. I always watch out for them. I think we need to talk and we need to guide our children and listen to them. Most of the time they are talking to us, but we are busy on our gadgets, we are busy on our job, we are busy on our everything around us. So we need to listen to our children.
Now, one word, Luke Toretich, in regard to that issue. One word as a dad, as a father, your aspect in regard to that issue.
Thank you for that question. As a father and as an advisor to maybe to parents and also teenagers is let us go back to the very basics. You remember in the olden days, the boys would stay with their fathers, the girls would stay with their mothers. So as adults, as parents, we have the big role of passing our wisdom to our young generation. I know the biggest issue we've had is the workload and the responsibilities and also absenteeism of the parents. So we are having our children discovering things from the media, discovering things from their friends, and which is not sometimes the best option. The best option would be let us have these children discovering things through our own parents, because there is no parent who wants to wish their children bad things. If boys and girls could be closer to their parents, they are the best advisors, they are the best guidelines to them in this very busy and very well-informed generation. So my parting shot is, let us have children closer to their parents. Let the boys be closer to their fathers, let the girls be closer to their mothers. Then that way, they can answer even some of these questions that always bog their minds. What is a relationship? What is sex? What is safe sex? It would be the best if they would have it from their parents.
Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Toretich there from Nakuru County. Luke Toretich is a lecturer at a university, while Joyce Toretich is a sociologist and a child enthusiast. And they have said, and their take home is that parents need to be aware, talk to your children, be the information, or rather the source of information for their children. This morning we are talking to parents just to looking at, the current issues around parenthood, looking at that report that was released 2 weeks back, and also now talking about the issue of the school reopening. Now we cross over to Mombasa County, where we have a parent online. Good morning, Martha Oguna.
Good morning to you. How are you?
Great. Great to have you on board.
Yes, thank you.
Now you've heard what Mr. and Ms. Toretich have said there in regard to the topics that we were talking about. Just looking from your point of view, do you share the same sentiments, or rather the same challenges when it comes, just to being a parent, to being a mother?
First of all, let me just introduce myself as Martha Oguna, and I'm a mother of 2 teenagers. One is 14 and the other one is 16. And one of them is a candidate in class 8. And so the challenges are there. But one of the things that I've come to realize is that we must be deliberate in interacting with our children. Because this has to start in a very young stage, whereby we don't regret when they become teenagers, when we did not have any kind of bonding with them from a very young stage. For me, since childhood, I made sure that I bonded with my children so close that we are very open in very many things for us to be able to discuss even things that they would normally want to discuss with somebody else. I've kept a very open discussion with them.
Then how do you balance between, exerting authority and being a disciplinarian and being a friend? Just give us some insights, Martha.
One of the things is that I have made it clear that when we set rules, in fact, most of the times is that we sit down with them and tell them what is wrong or what is right. And it's very clear that whatever they do, what is wrong has consequences. And we can't start going around the consequences. We have to know that we have to bear with the consequences. So it's very clear that I'm a friend, yes, but at the same time, I will not override my friendship to them to actually put aside that we have to talk when they have gone wrong. And you see, this goes with age. When they are younger, it's easier to actually probably try to maybe spank a bit and stalk a bit. But as they grow older, like where my children are, is that now you have to talk and reason out. And by the way, you realize that even them, they have a say, they want to do things their own way, but you have to keep guiding them and telling them what is wrong, where you're going right, where you're going wrong. So it's more of a discussion at home.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've said you are a mother of 2 and one of them is a candidate. Would want to hear from you this morning. What is your take on the proposed, school reopening and the change to the calendar?
For me, I think that is okay. September would be okay, only that if the government has very clear set guidelines on how these kids should go back. At one point, I thought that it would be good for the candidates to go back to school first, but later on I asked myself, these are still children, and even if they did these exams, where are they transiting to? We have Form 1s who only did a 1 term. I mean, these are kids who still have a whole year, didn't do anything. So even these kids that probably would want them to start with, where are they transiting to? Because at the end of the day, even if they did class 8 like mine, which Form 1 are they going to? The Form 1 still have a backlog. Form 4s, if they did exams, where are they transiting to? The universities are closed. So it really has to be across the board, and this has to be well thought out. That would be my take.
Mm-hmm. Now, the issue of an increased number of teenage pregnancies there from a mother. I mean, what do you think? What do you think is actually accelerating the issues of teenage pregnancies at this time?
I think there are many dynamics to that. I think one of the parents, Mrs. Toroitich, said so. And this, one of the major ones are usually poverty and parenting. In poverty, you get that these two parents have to go to work. There's no caregiver at home. So these children are left to be their own caregivers at home. And so they do not have the mind to know what is right, what is wrong, what to refuse, and when to, they're still at that age not to be able to be in charge of anything. At the same time, as parents, sometimes we come to realize that we need some friendship with our children when they're already grown and they cannot trust us anymore. So this becomes very difficult for this child to even open up to tell you that they have either a relationship or they had had a bad touch, or even the relatives that we live with, they don't open up to you because probably sometimes we tend to override the feelings of our children to the relatives we are living with. And so we tend to listen to this either uncle or auntie who's living with them and saying that, no, you must respect them. And probably these same people are not respecting these children. So it's very good to listen to children. They usually have something that sometimes we override, but they know when things are not right.
Listen to our children. That is Martha Oguna, who is coming live from Nairobi, from Mombasa County there, a mother of two. One of them happens to be a candidate, and she says she's not opposed to the new calendar, school reopening calendar, reasoning that giving preference to candidates only would create a backlog. Her question is, after her class 8 child has done his or her exam, then what happens? Where are they transiting to? Good questions there to the education authorities. Now we cross over to Kajiado County with Nancy Karetha Manyara to come on board. Good morning, Nancy. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Maybe I'd want to say that is my mother online there. That is my mom. Good morning, mom. How are you?
Good morning, dear. How are you?
No, I don't know if I should ask you a question about parenting and you will share it with national television and you happen to be my mom. I don't know what my producer will say about that, but hey, let's just go with the flow. Now, we've heard from parents earlier on talking, or rather giving their overview in the challenges, especially there in as far as parenting is concerned. From where you sit, what challenges would you highlight in your journey of parenthood?
Wow. Now, as a parent of 6 children, I have 4 adults and 2 teenagers. The last ones are 14-year-olds and they're candidates. And in my journey as a mother, it has been challenging, yes, but it is also an exciting journey, especially when you see children grow and become, focused and let me say they are when you see your children take the right path, it is very exciting. And the challenges would be, how do you balance now being a friendly parent and being a firm parent? Because many times we tend to believe being friends with our children will help them. Yes, they would help them, but there have to be boundaries where you leave a boundary for you as a parent to be able to guide them, to correct them. Because if you are a friend, then there are times they might not expect to correct them.
Now, you've mentioned you're a mother of 6. I happen to be one of them. My producer is quite keen to just hear my life story. They want to find out if I was straight and narrow or if I was an erratic child. But we will not get to that discussion. Let me just ask, we've seen over the years, and I'll use your example. While we were growing up, you never shied away from taking the stick to us, the slippers, the belts and such, to discipline us. In the 21st century, we've seen that parents have shied away from actually disciplining their children. Since you've brought up the children back in the day and you're still bringing up children in this 21st century, the differences and how this has affected parenting from your standpoint.
From where I stand right now, when you are growing up, that's how we knew best. But today we know us enough to be a kin. There are many ways of raising a child without resorting to the kin. One of the parents, Martha, talked about having a discussion on the rules you set and explaining the consequences. Maybe during your time the consequence would be the cane, but today we need to set out those consequences that the child will actually know this is as a result of my choice. And when there's that discussion, usually the child will know mom is not joking. If we say this is what is going to happen, if I do this, they will be very, very keen the first time they'll be trying to test. Will really this be the consequence? If I do this, they will test. But if you follow through with the consequence, then the next time they will not try because they know there are consequences. So basically right now it's about negotiation, and you negotiate as a mother from a point of authority or as a parent from a point of authority, because you can execute what you have negotiated. It is not like you now become powerless. You are actually more powerful because you have the authority to execute
now
what you have to work with your children.
Let me interject. Martha Oguna there, when we asked her about, her take on, the increase of teenage pregnancies, she said that it can either be out of poverty and parenting, that parents are somewhat lacking in having those conversations with their children. Now, talking about, sexual reproduction and the relations between boys and girls. My experience has been that this was quite a difficult conversation to have with you as parents at that time. Has this changed?
Yes, it has changed. I remember we began tentatively talking with you, especially when you were about 10, 9, 11-ish there. And it was awkward at first, but as we progressed, we were able to talk. Currently, where I stand, especially with the teenagers that I have right now, my twins, the two twins, we get.
Okay, I think we got interrupted there. The internet is not flowing as it should. But yeah, that conversation is clear that we had this conversation in as far as, relations between boys and girls. For your information, those who are watching, that happens to be my mom, who is a mother of 6. And she's also a mother of 2 twin candidates. And her greatest worry is that their children, or rather the 2 candidates that we have in our family setup, might not be quite prepared to sit for the examinations courtesy of the COVID-19. However, they are learning virtually. We still continue with this conversation, and okay, I think my mom is back. She has to tell you if indeed I listened to those conversations in regard to boys and girls going forward. So Nancy Manyara, take it away. You were explaining about the need to have open conversations between a mother and daughter or father and son in regard, to just, reproduction. Nancy, we're back online. We have you back online. Well, we want to hear your conclusion in regard to just having those open conversations on, subjects that we regard either as taboo or awkward. Over to you, Nancy. Kindly unmute your mic. We can't hear you. We can see you, but we can't hear you. Now, speak up.
Yeah, it is necessary that we talk with our boys and girls, both of them, about their sexuality, because currently what is happening, most of our young people are not aware of their sexuality. They are not aware of what is happening in their lives, in their bodies. And if we don't share with that, then they will get that information from their peers. They'll get that information from social media, from internet. They will get that information one way or another. And it is better and best if they get it from their parents, because from where they are, their parents are the authority in their lives. And whatever information you give your child, they will always be, even if they get more information from outside, they have a reference who is the parent. So as parents, I think currently most parents have abdicated that role of being their children's guide, and I've left it to social media, churches, schools, and these people will give the information from their point, which depending on their interest. So when it comes from a parent, it is better because it empowers the child to know if my father says this, then it must be correct because he's a person who cares for me, a person who has the best interest for the child.
Thank you very much, Nancy Karwetha. Mom Kwaheri, I'll try and see you over the weekend. Thank you for coming on board and supporting the KBC Kids Talk as we highlight, issues of parenting. Now, crossing over to the guest. Thank you very much. Now, Lilian Amwanda, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing?
Great. Great to have you on board. Kindly
Thank
introduce
you so
yourself.
much.
Yeah.
My name is Lilian Amwanda. I'm a mother of 4 kids, 3 teenagers, and one is still young. He's in class 4. And I'm from Nakuru County.
Okay, Linda Amwana from Nakuru County, mother of 4, 3 teenagers. When you talk about teenagers, main challenges in bringing up the children, what has been the main challenge, just being a parent as you are, Lillian?
Okay, parenting can be tricky and fun at the same time.
Sure.
So the challenges have always been there, but I think the best is to sit down with your children, talk to them, and the challenges will not be as challenging as it is, that we say that's challenge. But the challenges are there. The kids at this age, they want to do what they want to do. But as a parent, probably you think what they want to do is wrong. So the best to avoid the challenges is to sit with them down, talk to them, tell them whatever you are going to do is going to have consequences. Or if you're going to do it the way I want.
That is Lilian Amwanda coming live from Nakuru County, is a mother of 4, including 3 teenagers, saying that we need to have a conversation with our children, set the boundaries, give them a guide to what they have to do. Now, we're continuing to have this conversation with Lilian there. I just want to know from your standpoint, the government is proposing to open up schools come September. As a parent, are you comfortable? Do you think we'll be ready to have these institutions safe for our children?
Of course, it's a little bit tricky. Yesterday, I heard CS Magoa saying that a class should have 20 to 25 or 15 to 20?
15 to 20.
And yes, personally, I have a candidate. One of the teenagers is a candidate. She's in Form 4. And their class, there are 60. So I'm wondering how they're going to do it, not unless they're going to build other classes. But infrastructure in most of our schools is in dire need. They need to add more classes for them to maintain the social distance. But reopening schools in September, to me, it's a good thing if at all the corona issue will come to an end, or if it will have, we could have flattened the curve. But if by September, when it's still on peak, we'll rather stay with our children. Just as C.S. Magova said, dead students, we don't do exams. We'll rather stay with them at home and they're alive. And God's time is the best time. If time comes next year when things are okay, they can go back to school and do exams.
Very optimistic and very pragmatic there, Linda, mother of 4, coming live from Nakuru County. Now, as we come to a close, or rather we end this discussion with you, Linda, is what advice or what can other parents learn from you in as far as parenting skills is concerned? Any advice you can share?
Okay, I think I'll echo what the Troy Teach said. I think it's the dad who said that we need to kind of go back to the basics. But personally, I'll say we need to do community parenting that was there before. Those days, you could get a neighbor tell my daughter that whatever you are doing is bad. But nowadays, you get a neighbor telling you, see, I saw your daughter somewhere, and I will be like, did I tell you to take care of her? So we need to go back to community parenting. Let us parent as a team, because again, in society, it is said the child, once it is born, it is the child of the society. With that, we will go further.
Tag team kind of parenting to go further. That is advice from Lillian Awanda, who is a mother of three, a mother of four, including 3 teenagers. One of them who happens to be a Form 4 candidate. All the best to that candidate as we wait to just see what happens going forward in as far as this COVID-19 pandemic. Community parenting, tag team. That's the way we need to go back to the basics, where the child is not just a child. My daughter does not just belong to me, but my daughter belongs to the community. That if you spot my daughter somewhere misbehaving or in a precarious situation, that you will not first give me a call, but you will arrest the situation, then tell me later. Are we ready to embrace that as parents? We keep the conversation coming. Remember, it's hashtag KBC Kids Talk. Our Twitter handle is at KBC Channel 1 TV, at KBC Channel 1 News. Mine is at Ray Manyara and Ram Aguko. Now, John, kindly unmute your mic so that we can come to you. John, kindly unmute your mic. You're up next. Remember, we're also inviting just parents and guardians out there who are not able to come in onto this conversation. Send us your feedback on those various social media platforms. We are also live on Facebook as well as on our website, www.kbc.co.ke. Now, John, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Regina, and good morning to Good Morning Kenya.
Great to have you on board. Kindly introduce yourself.
My name is John Oduor. I come from Kisumu County. I'm a father of 3, 2 teenagers, class 6, Form 2, and Form 4, sitting at one of the regrets that is sitting this year. So I'm equally worried as other parents are worried. Thank you for this show.
Kindly, John, thank you very much. John Odrod coming live from Kisumu County, father of 3, including 2 teens. Now, I'd want to ask you to just kindly face the camera so that we are getting you on profile. Would want to see you face on. Much better, John Odrod there. Now, we've had, different conversations and different feedback from parents that have come on board. And the main issue is the issue of communication and being aware as to where your child is, in regard to just arresting the issues and challenges of parenting. From a father's standpoint, I'm curious, issues of teenage pregnancy. From a father's standpoint, what role can fathers play to ensure that, they avert this crisis within their home or other family setups?
Thank you, and allow me to respond double-edged. First, as a parent, and second, as a career child right advocate. As a parent, one thing that I want to point out to all the parents who are listening to us, and I want to appreciate Good Morning Kenya for this show, is that communication is very important in parenting. And of course, we should not demonize parenting as bad, as so much challenging. As much as it's challenging, we have to blend it with some fun so that the children that grow up under our care grows up knowing that there are people that they can lean on. But what I want to say is that we lose our children at some age when our children start asking questions. What is this? How is this? Where are children? How are children born? Most parents are not free to answer such questions. So that sends children away to another source of getting information. So once they've run away from us, they have confirmed that the father or the mother is not a source of authority. That is when we lose our children. And once you've lost your children, especially on adolescent reproductive health issues, they will never come to you. And for me, I believe a parent is the best library, a parent is the best source to all the children when it comes to issues of sexuality. Unfortunately, most parents we run away from addressing these questions when children ask it innocently at an innocent age that we can still contain. Another problem that compounds all this is that when our children grow up, we love them, we take them for swimming. At some age, all of a sudden, without any explanation, we stop this kind of relationship with our children. So what next for them? Because they've been used to this. So the only thing that they'll do is to get it somewhere else. So somewhere else could be
Okay,
who?
fine.
A
John,
boyfriend?
let me interject there. We have parents who are on standby in the meeting room to just participate in this conversation. Would want to encourage that anyone who is in the waiting room to kindly have your mic on mute so that we can, have a seamless and an audible conversation with the persons we are talking to. Kindly, then once it is your turn and I call up your name, you can unmute your mic. In the meantime, also, John Odror, adjust your camera so that we can better see you. You were at the corner. Now you're better. Now that's far much better. Now we were just highlighting the issues, the lack of conversation or other communication within the family and how this then can affect, issues of parenting. Now there's been a question that most single fathers have been asking themselves, single fathers especially to girls. You're a father yourself. The issue of awkwardness, talking about, issues of relations, boy-girl relations, and also just human development. From a father to another father who is maybe struggling out there and is a single parent to a daughter, how would you advise them to just, come out of this awkwardness and talk about these issues?
I think one thing that we need to observe and note as parents is that the children we bring up grows up knowing that they are very brighter, smarter, and able to discover more information than we were when we were at their age. So that should help us now to think together as parents. The fact that these children are well exposed to information, they are able to access what we are not able to access as parents. How can we use that kind of exposure and knowledge that they have to make them understand things that they need to understand better? Then this question about where do children, it's a simple question, but most parents have failed to answer. Even me, I don't even remember whether I addressed it well unless I was taken for, until I was taken for some training. That's when I was able to address this question on where do children come from. This is where we should now start engaging our children on what exactly they need to know when it comes to issues of relationship. Unfortunately, most parents do not completely engage in this. And this is now when our children decide to get this kind of information from very unreliable sources that could mislead, and now compounding this issue of now that we are reading that the issues of escalated teenage pregnancies that is now a worry for everybody in the country.
Now, out of curiosity, you've said that you're not so sure if you addressed that question, where children come from. In this platform, if a child was to ask you, maybe I'm looking at the age of around 10, your daughter, 10 years old, asks you, Dad, where do children come from? What would be your answer?
Thank you. I've answered this question in a number of forums, and allow me to share it here today with the team and parents who are listening. That when the child asks this kind of question, the child is not asking because they don't know. At age 10, they are not asking because they don't know where children come from. They just want to confirm first, as a father, are you an authority when it comes to information? So if you don't respond accurately as a parent, then your child will never, from that age to the age of adulthood, will never ask you anything related to relationships. So the way I have answered this, that has been very convincing to my audience, both parents and children, is that be honest with the child, tell him or her that children are a blessing from God. And once you get to a certain age, God will bless you with a partner you will live with, and together God will bless that relationship that will bring forth a child that will be part of your family. Remember, I did that when we had our third born. I told my children, what you see in your mother's stomach is so that she has overeaten. God has blessed us with a child, and in the next 9 months, we'll be having a bouncing baby that will be part of this family that has come at a union that God put together. If you answer that, children will live knowing that the father or the mother is an authority and a source of information. The children will walk away with that. They'll use that information to even educate other children. Don't make it so ambiguous that you give room for unnecessary discoveries. Thank you.
don't make it ambiguous for unnecessary, a room for ambiguous, other unnecessary information. My colleague Ramaguko was waving in the air, just saying when he said that children are a blessing and they come from God, he was just waving. He will give us a feedback, John Odor, as we continue. But now there's another question. This is a question that has come from the child to the parent. Dad, where do children come from? But now here you are a parent. I'm supposing a parent is in a situation where he's seeing that the child is blooming, is interacting. At what point would I start having this conversation about relationships, about, how to better take care of myself, how would I approach my child and sit down, at what point? What would be the guidelines from a parent point of view?
There are certain fears and uncertainty that we create around us and our children. For me, it starts with sanitary towels. You go to a supermarket and your child would want, I'm the one who would suggest, can you pick a sanitary towel? And from there, they'll start asking, I have not started using it. Why do people use it? And then from there, they say, at this age, certain changes happen in your body and you will need to use sanitary towels. I remember I used to buy sanitary towels to my girls, even when they were below 8, below 6. I was not buying them because I wanted them to use it. I wanted to use it as an anchor to generate discussion so that they start asking, what is this? Because I will watch media houses advertising always. That question will bother me a lot. So when we went to the market, they picked, I picked, and their mother also picked. Then it became a common agenda in our family. So the children grew up knowing that at some age, you will need to use certain things that are specific to girls, certain things that are specific to boys. So why do you use this? You're using this because you've reached some age of reason, some age of biological advancement that when you engage in certain acts, and to be specific on issues of sexual intercourse at this age, if you are a student, you are a pupil, you will get pregnant. And the best place to get pregnant is in marriage, in your house, after you have accomplished everything. In fact, I do tell them, if you graduate, your wedding reception will not be done in a slum. Your wedding reception will be done in the best hotel in town. And that is the way you need to keep safe so that when you grow up, and then we tell them, these young ones at some age, they want to put on some mini skirts. We should not demonize for them for that. They're also trying to explore, they're also trying to expose what they feel is nice, which might not be nice at the right time. So you tell them, gold, if you want to dig gold, you go deeper than 100 feet for you to get a good gold. So part of what we're trying to expose is gold. Keep it safe until that time that it will attract the right market. And that's only after you've done your Form 4, you've graduated with the degree and you have a job, then your market price is escalated. So with that kind of advice, they get the drive to continue working hard in school, they continue respecting their bodies, and that kind of information, they also pass it to other children, and it creates a multiplier effect that has been very useful from the house and for my workplace.
I like what you have said, John Odor, and I must commend you. It seems you are doing an exemplary job there. And advice to fathers there from John Odor, who is a father of 3, including 2 teenagers, is that you use what you have within your capacity. Maybe just use sanitary towels to have that conversation, to begin having that conversation with your daughter about, just sexual reproduction, or rather sexuality. The boys as well, they're breaking their voice. Don't wait until the teacher at school tells them that these are the changes that you're going through, and this is what it means to be a man, and this is what it means to be a woman. That question that we always fear, especially as parents, like, Mom, Dad, where do children come from? Or when that advertisement for some form of contraceptive, especially issues of condoms and sanitary towel, come on TV, we all duck. It's a challenge there from John Odor from Kisumu County, father of 3, including 2 teens, and is a child advocate, and has said communication is key. Be open, and advice especially to young girls, and I will want to quote this in light of what you're talking about, the issue of teenage pregnancy, is that maintain, or rather hide, or rather keep away that gold so that it can attract value as you go. And I think this also, Ram can also chip into this as we go on, just the issue of, just how men react, exposed skin. It doesn't work. It's experimental, but it doesn't work to attract what a person who is going to value what you have as your virtue. Thank you very much, John Odror. Do not go away. We'll be coming back to you, John Odror, so do stay online. Now, the other guest we have lined up this morning, Wambiru, good morning. Beth, good morning. How are you? Hey, how are you? Good morning. How are you? We see you, but we can't quite hear you. Kindly unmute your mic. Unmute your mic, please.
Yes, I have unmuted.
Good. Now we can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Fine. How about you don't just look at your gadget, don't focus on the television per se. Yes, we can see that is steady. Now just give us a brief introduction of yourself and tell us where you are at this point. Where are you coming to from live?
Okay, I'm Beth Wanjiro, married with kids, one 20 years, the second born 14 years, and the third one 12 years.
Wow, congratulations.
I'm in Nakuru County.
You're live from?
Nakuru County.
Nakuru County. Beth Wanjiro, mother of 3, including a 20-year-old. Wow, it seems you're far much ahead than most. But yeah, we were talking about challenges in parenting, and we've heard so much about the issues of communication. And we are borrowing from the statistics, or rather the survey that we had, that there's a rise in teenage pregnancy in the recent months. From where you sit, you've brought up literally adults, and you're still dealing with adolescents. How did you do it?
Okay, it was quite challenging, but I being having a department in the church that deals with the adolescents, it was not a big deal, a big deal to me. But when it came to my children, there are some of the questions you find they are asking. When my girl started menstruation, she could ask me whether the whole thing goes the whole day, or how does it relationship. She could be somehow isolated. Thank God, I tried to be
We're having a challenge with network there, but that is Beth Wanjiro, a mother of 3, including a 20-year-old, and her last born is 12 years. She says parenting has not been easy, this far that she has come, but her being ingrained in the church has helped her in one way or another just deal with those issues, especially those, just explaining the issue of sexuality, especially to her daughter. Now we're joined by Namadi. Good morning, Namadi. Good morning, Namadi.
Good morning, Ray. How are you?
Great to see you. Tell us, you're live from? Where are you live from?
I'm live from Mombasa. The County 001.
County 001. This happens to be Ariana's mom, right?
Right.
Great. Ariana is quite the child there. She always gives us insight. Sometimes she really, she cracks us up here. She's very honest. But in your bringing up, you just tell us, are you a mother of 1, 2? Is just Ariana the only child you have? Namadi, tell us your family, just a brief intro. Yes, County 001, but just give us an overview of your family. Yeah?
I'm a mother of 3.
3.
And Ariana is the first one. She's 8 years. I have a 5-year-old, and I have a 1.5-year-old.
Wow, congratulations.
So I have a handful.
That indeed is a handful. But motherhood, or rather parenting, is something that we say, is God-given, and we give thanks for it. Now, challenges, just give it, that's a handful. We already said that the ages 8, 5, 1.5, that's a handful. Challenges, unique challenges that you have gone through in, your parenting journey?
Yeah, besides just being a mother, I'm also a child rights advocate. I'm a child rights activist. So there are many challenges. Now, bringing up children, especially my well overactive girl, Ariana, has been a challenge because as I was listening to my colleague John talking about children asking you questions concerning their reproduction, like where babies are coming from or where menstruation is coming from. I've experienced this. Ariana would ask me when I was pregnant with my youngest, she would ask me, Mommy, where did the baby come from? Or how did the baby get in there? And I had to be very, very honest. I had to be very, very honest with her so that she can be able to learn in her own way, at her own level, where babies are coming from.
Okay.
Because if I do not do that,
Mama Ariana there, Mama Ariana, we need a clarification, and especially my colleague who is still, his mouth is still, wide open, like, you actually told her how the baby got there? Maybe that's the question. How did you go about it? Ariana is just 8. Maybe you can just give us these tidbits. Was it awkward? How did you go about it?
It was not easy, it was awkward, but I had to be honest. Because the way she asked the question was also a bit tricky. She actually started off with the story of where Eve and Adam came from and how do they come to be, So she was like, so how did that baby get inside there? Did God put that baby inside there? So we had to talk about what John talked about. When you grow up, then you get you get somebody who is special, then you sleep with that somebody, and then that person, you get a baby when that happens.
So the Christian foundation, or rather Christian faith, it seems the Christian faith gave you a foothold in as far as that is concerned. And if your 1.5-year-old baby is, we can hear him or her, is it a she or a he in the background?
It's a he.
Good. So Ariana's brother, we can hear him in the background, and if at any one point you need to hold him so that he doesn't, continue crying, we advocate for that. We're talking about parenting. Why not? We know you're a mother, so feel comfortable. Yes. Now let's talk about the upbringing of children and where we are. Challenges therein, especially in the 21st century, the issue of technology and child bringing. We've already seen this during this COVID-19 situation. Then how do we limit that exposure in as far as when we are bringing our children?
Technology is it's a good thing that we have here, and it's also something that is very challenging because we cannot run away from technology at this point in time. It is something that has come and it has helped us in many ways because our children are not like when we were growing up, where we could not even have a phone to be able to talk to our friends. Right now, they're having even their own YouTube channels. But the best part is that we get an opportunity from a young age, like my daughter, to be able to talk to her on how to utilize this technology, to be able to help her use this technology to her advantage. Even the cartoons she's watching, there should be cartoons that are educative, there should be cartoons that are teaching and training her. That way, if you start on a young age so that she can appreciate what is online, then it becomes better as she grows up. But otherwise, if you just let it free, that they can watch whatever they need to watch without having a talk. We had to have a talk, like if somebody tries to befriend you on online, do not tell them who your name is, where your school is, where your parents, the names of your parents. We just had to have that conversation because sometimes we are out of the house and you're leaving them with these gadgets. You have Wi-Fi in the house. So it becomes a bit tricky if you don't get that time to have a discussion with children. But the other side of technology, we have seen where children have been engaged and involved in issues or relationships that have been very fatal. And this you have, they've been advertised and discussed in many, many forums where fatal relationships have come from technology. Yeah.
So technology has a good side and a bad side. Now, we learned of something from Ariana earlier, the issue that whenever she has to be picked from school and you're not available, you have somewhat come up with a code of sorts that has ensured that she remains safe. Maybe you can share this and more tidbits, or rather with other parents who are worried about the safety of their children, especially moving from, school to home. Amadi.
When you're talking about, sorry, I didn't hear that question again.
The safety when we were talking about child safety, is that Ariana shared that you have some sort of code language that among you two that has helped you, keep her out of trouble, especially, running into people, strangers, especially from how, from school to home when you're not around. Maybe you can share this and so much more, and just tidbits to parents who are out there just thinking about how ways to ensure that their children are safe and secure.
The safety of children is every parent's desire to ensure that their children are safe. And when you feel that your children are not safe, wherever you are, you cannot be at peace, you cannot work. In fact, I always say, if I get a missed call from my husband.
Well, it seems we are having a bit of a network glitch there. That is Namadi, who is a mother of 3. She was just sharing her encounter. Her child, Ariana, who happens to be 8, told us that they have a code language that they use between her and the mom to ensure that, she knows who is picking her up from school when the parents cannot get to her. Now we cross over to Nyongesa. Thank you, Namadi, for your time. Say hi to Ariana and the siblings. Now crossing over to Nyongesa. Good morning, Nyongesa. How are you? Nyongesa, good morning.
Regina.
Great to have you
Good morning.
Great to have you on board. Kindly move
Can
back.
you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Kindly
Yes.
don't lean forward towards the gadget. Yes, if you lean forward, you are actually killing you on air. That is a terminology that we use because we cut off the top of your head. We have to, no, kindly, yes, move far back. Yes, much better, much better. So tell us, Nyongesa, where are you for this live broadcast?
First, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Pius Nyongesa Maratani from Nakuru County, the county of Lao. And I'm also a very good member of Hylax Mission. I'm a father, parent of 4 kids, and 3 of them are teenagers. Only one that you know very well, that is Veronica, your good friend. She is now 10.
Very well said. You'll pass my regards to Veronica, and I'm sure she's watching with the rest of her siblings. Now, we're talking, or rather, we were putting into perspective the challenges that parents go through in as far as bringing up their children, and keenly focusing on the issue of teenage parenting. We've seen a survey, teenage pregnancies on the rise. As a father of a daughter, what is your take on the current increase in teenage pregnancies? Mr. Nyongesa, what's your take on the current rise of teenage pregnancies, and what do you think parents can do, or rather fathers can do, to ensure that this does not befall their children? Well, it seems that Mr. Nyongesa there, who is a father of 4, including 10-year-old Veronica, who is an avid participant of this show, the KBC Kids Talk. We're having a small sound glitch there, but when we return, we're going to be focusing on that particular issue. we're just generally speaking to parents spread across the country to just hear their views in regard to just challenges in parenting, especially among teenagers, given this is the 21st century, and borrowing from the survey that, indicated that there's a rise in teenage pregnancies, and just trying to see what mothers and fathers can do since these children are within their homes at this point. And I can borrow a question that we had from one of our parents there, who came in and said that, and that is one of our very first, that happens to be Joyce Torotich. She said, teenage, or rather the pregnancy is what we can see. There are other underlying issues in the background there. There may be issues of abuse, negligence, poverty. These are issues that we need to address. What we can see right now as far as pregnancy is concerned is just a symptom that we can see, but there are other underlying issues. Now, still hearing from parents. Onyonge, good morning. Unmute your mic, Onyonge. We are on you, Onyonge. Unmute your mic.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Great to see you. Great to see you. Kindly introduce yourself and tell us where you are right now.
My name is Joanne Onyonke. I'm a mother of 4, one teenage, an upcoming one at 9 years, another one 4 and 1.5 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm currently in Nairobi. I like the show.
Thank you very much. That is John Onyonke, mother of 4, including 1.5-year-old. From Nairobi County. Kindly move back from the screen, please. Better, much better. Now, we're talking about challenges of challenges that parents go through as they execute their God-given mandate, just to be parents as it is. What has been your experience, Joan?
As a parent, I realized that most of the time we have shifted our roles. In bringing up a child, we learn that we have to involve the teachers, the church, and parents at large. But currently, as we are having our children at home, we realize that the parenting is becoming so difficult because initially parents had shifted their roles back to teachers and the church. And because of the pandemic and all the upcoming issues in the current world, kids are not going to school, they're not going to church, so they are back at home with their parents. And because at some point we lost this child, at some point we lost focus of this child, it has become so difficult to parent this child, a child that you didn't know in the first place. Because you had left a child with the teacher, in the hands of the teacher and the Sunday school teachers, or rather the churches. So you are beginning to bring up a child at a later age, a child that you didn't know in the first place. So you realize that there is a gap in between you as a parent and the child whom you neglected at an early age of, let's say, at around 3, because you realize with the current challenges of economic challenges, we even take our children to baby care at an age of early as 2 years, if I'm not so wrong.
So parents, in your view, Onyonke, have failed the litmus test of sorts and have left this parenting, role to other institutions, the church, the school, and now that during the COVID-19 pandemic, that's when we are finding ourselves back in the family setup. In your experience as a mom, there's been a conversation here earlier with Sam saying that it's a high time that we embrace community parenting, that your child is also my child, that I will step in your place when you're not around. Would you be open to this kind of setup in this 21st century? Would you be open to community parenting?
Yeah, that is what brought us to be what we are today, because I would remember when another parent would get me on the road doing wrong stuff and they'll hit me. But today you hit somebody's child, that parent will be, the next thing you'll see that parent on your door. But I'll advocate for the same, because you don't know what your child is doing while you are not around. But in this 21st century, we realize that as parents are the ones who are questioning our children, a child that you don't know. They pretend to be holier than thou in your presence, but while they are not in your presence, they do stuff that you don't know. But you are not listening to other parents. And even I'll be asked to come and tell you that I saw your child doing that because back at me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll advocate for community parenting. If at all we can embrace it as a community, I want to imagine when I'm not at home, what is my child doing? When I'm not around this child, what is he doing? What sort of issues, what sort of programs is this child watching? And you'll realize, you'll agree with me, even some parents, they back as their house helps if they try to correct their children. And there are these house helps who stay long with the children at home.
Mm-hmm. Very well said. Now, John, as we wrap up with you this morning, I'd want to know, as from your experience, how do you balance being a firm parent and a friendly parent, where your children come to you with all manner of questions without feeling awkward? How do you strike a balance?
I want to be categorical. Maybe I didn't just mention. I want to thank God because of the counseling and psychology skills that I've acquired. I am able, because in counseling we call things by their names, and because of that I am authoritative. I can parent with authority, as in I am the point of authority when it comes to parenting. We sit down and discuss issues, and where I feel like I also need to listen to them. They have their views. They tell me, Mom, here, no. Mm-hmm. But we agree on the modality.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. That is John Onyonke, who is a mother of 4, including a 9-year-old, 4-year-old, and a 1.5-year-old from Nairobi County, saying that her skills as a counselor have helped her have that conversation better. Still keeping up with the views from parents in regard to challenges in parenthood. Now we're crossing over to Machakos County with Winnie Minor. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Ray. How are you?
Great to have you on board.
Great to have you too.
That is Machakos County, right? Awesome.
Yes.
Just give us an overview, Winnie. Let's get to know you.
My name is Winnie Minor. Musa Okemwa's mom, the only child at 15 years old. I particularly love this discussion today because I was actually a teenage mom at 17 years old.
Wow.
And by the grace of God and support of my parents, Musa has turned out great, and so have I.
Kindly just take us through that journey. When you say you were a teen mom, we are just talking about the issue of teenage pregnancy, and parents here are saying that they need to have these conversations with their children. Tell us your experience, Winnie.
It's a bittersweet experience because I was brought up by a very tough single mom. She passed on, unfortunately, in 2015. So we were wale watoto wa gate kali. We would not go out at all, and we schooled quite early. So at 17 years old, I went to university in Kampala, and I had all this freedom.
Hold up. Did you just say at 17 you were in university?
Yes. I joined at 17.
Wow, congratulations. What did you pursue in the university?
Thank you. I'm a lawyer by profession.
Wow, learned friend. I need to clap for it.
Yeah.
my learned friend. Now, let's come back to when you're age 17 and you've gone off to Kampala for your studies. Proceed.
Yeah, so, of course, now it's the first time I'm outside gated walls, gated compounds where my mom would always find out where I am. I had all this freedom. Kampala is a land of fun. I knew alcohol for the first time, and long story short, the first time I did it, the first time I got pregnant.
I won't say hallelujah, but I am happy that Musa Okemwa is here, 15 years old. He's very eloquent when he partakes in this. So how did your mom take this? I'm trying to imagine that, as you've said, she sounds very authoritative, very protective.
Yes.
Here you are, her firstborn in university, on to believe, and they are pregnant. How did she take it?
So can you imagine, Ray? I actually, our semester used to take around 5 months. So during the first break, I said we have a lot of, I'll not be going back home. So after a while, when I was around 8 months, is when now I had to tell her, and actually used a friend to tell her. And parents are gracious and patient and ever-loving. All she said is, you have disappointed me, but I will support you. So we'll organize. I'll come to Kampala to pick you, so that after you deliver, I'll stay with the baby, and then you can go back to school.
For you, I want to understand your own personal feelings at this time. How were you feeling? I can imagine. What was your initial reaction to finding out that you're pregnant in a foreign country, the first time that you've been out of your mother's keep, if I can say that?
I think it was a lot of denial. It took me too long to accept. Remember, this is something you have always been told should not happen to you until you're married. So I think it even took me longer to accept that I'm actually pregnant. When now I confirmed, and through friends went to test and took all the procedures that are necessary. By then, God is so amazing, because I never went for any antenatal clinic. That's how ignorant and in denial I was. Until now, I told my mom, and now we were able to take the precautions after that. So it was a lot fear of disappointment. You're the firstborn. We are two in our family. So, and I was always the one who always seemed like would be the perfect one. In fact, even at home, everyone would love. To date, everyone says my sister is the one who should have gotten a baby, not me first. So I was this, I looked to be this disciplined one, but that's how it turned out. So I guess all those expectations from my mom, I was in total fear and shame and guilt and all that trip, yeah.
Now, may her soul continue resting in peace, and I want to believe that you had a conversation with her in her later years right now, and, just expressed yourself, your fear, your anxiety over feeling as if you let her down. I'm sure you patched up things?
Yes, we did patch up things. Actually, just immediately after the delivery of Moses, we patched up things, and she was really supportive. Even in later years, after I got married, we actually just began living with Moses after my mom passed on. That was how tight they were.
Now, Moses is 15 years old?
Yes.
Have you had this conversation with him in regard to sexuality, especially borrowing your experience? Have you shared your experience and, your expectations of him as he continues coming of age?
Yes, I have, Ray. And actually, I usually believe parents, we should take the new approach. I usually tell most of my friends who are a bit older that the old way of doing things will not work in this new era. So for me, I actually talked to Moses directly on these issues, giving my own personal experience. And in fact, when the report came out, I remember just to have this conversation, I talked to him, I called him and told him, did you see the statistics? And he was like, yes. I was like, I hope you're not a father to any of the 4,000 children.
What did he say to that? What did he say to that? He's just 15, but hey, what did he say? What was his initial reaction?
Of course, he had to widen his eyes and like, no, I'm not. But that was an entry point. So that's how we always discuss these things. Anything, and then the father is a lawyer. I'm also a lawyer. We have worked in the human rights sector. The father works for DPP, so the father will always tell him, unaona watu wamefungwa na defilement. Unajua defilement ni nini? So that's how we normally start that conversation, because we go with him to the office and where we work a lot.
Now, if today, for example, Moses came and told you, Mom, I have a girlfriend, how would you take it? I'm seeing it on your face right now. At the age of 15, I can already see your reaction.
The reason I'm laughing, Ray, we actually have this conversation, and it's very weird because he has so many friends who are girls. So we are actually usually at a loss at how to explain to him that you don't have to specialize with one, because the truth is these kids are very innovative and proactive. So they have phones, they have gadgets, they have WhatsApp groups. So what we've cultivated is we've not told him it's bad to speak to girls or to have friends who are girls. We just tell him, just make sure you've not specialized anyone. Now is the time for you to just be friends with everyone, get to learn the difference between boys and girls, without necessarily maneuvering into anything serious, so that you are able to know how to interact with them and how to treat them well.
So as a mother of girls, let me just say, when you say that he needs to maneuver around, friend zone all the girls, just ensure you do not have anyone in particular. As a mother of girls, I'm like, then my girls are in for a shocker going forward. Now, talking about relations, yeah, and here you're dealing with a boy. We've had also statistics saying that, the boy child seems also to be under attack. Issues of drug, issues of, just homosexuality, people taking advantages of the boy child because, boys are not per se expected to cry, to show their emotions. Have you had these conversations with your son about, just letting his emotions run free, that he can trust you as a mom?
Yes, I have. And we always talk about it. And for a while, he somehow, either because his grandmother was a single mom, when now we started living together with his dad, he somehow changed and became a daddy person. So anything secret he would not tell me, but due to the distance, the father is in Kitui and I'm also in a separate place. We had to have this discussion that he has to be free with me and he has to talk to me even on issues of what he would term as private. And that really brought about a big change, that now he can easily tell me about homosexuality, drug issues in school, and we're able to talk about it. I remember there's a time when he just joined Form 1, he was given kuber to taste in school. He's in a mixed school. And I think he tasted, although he told me he didn't, but I'm sure he did.
No one would. No one would say, I'm dealing with a lawyer. My lawyer is a mom, and they say I took drugs. Musa is bright. I wouldn't accept also. I'll just tell you there was this situation. But now, just out of curiosity, you've said that you as parents, you're both in different localities. When you're having this intricate, or rather kind of very serious conversations, do you have them within this home setup? Do you just take a walk? Which setup? Does the setup also have a role to play when you're dealing with these issues, having this conversation?
Yes, I think setup is important because for us, we don't really use the home setup unless during this time of COVID where we've all been working from home. But mainly the father will speak to him when he's in the office with him during midterm and during holidays, and they're going through files because he's very inquisitive. And the discussions on the sexual offenses would come up, and then they would discuss it at a personal level. Mm-hmm. For me, we would discuss it when probably we are at home, and he loves cooking, by the way, he loves baking. And we are baking, and I could just throw a question like what I did with the statistics, and then we would get to talking. But normally when you just sit down and you call him for a talk, that one he will just tense. So for us, it's been spontaneous.
So it seems it's not a grown-up thing when you tell someone we need to talk. It also goes down to the children.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As we come to a close, Winnie, with you, and thank you for sharing that particular insight of your life story. What advice would you give, especially a parent whose daughter is expectant at this point, teenage pregnancies? What would you tell these parents so that just to empower them, from your experience?
I think for me, I would say, just like Jesus said, well, you forgive 77 times, 7 times a day. I believe the first thing a parent should do if such a thing happens is to quickly forgive your child and accept their childish behavior at that point. But if you do not support them, then you are opening a Pandora's box for larger issues to come up in the future. So it would be important for parents to be able to support their children at this time. I don't believe it's the correct time to judge. Of course, after delivery, then you can have a discussion and talk and iron out issues. But for now, I think if I were to check the position I was in, had my mom not embraced me at that particular moment, I think I would not have been who I am now. So I believe support, embrace, a lot of love, because it's also a new time for the children. And I remember when now I was giving birth and nurses would come and say, "Mtoto amezaa mtoto." So you can imagine you are in that predicament and you do not have the support of your close relatives, parents, and supportive people. So my big advice would be support, embrace, and love. Then we will sort out the issues later.
Thank you very much, Winnie Minor there. Thank you for sharing your experience. A mother at the age of 17. We are proud that Musa Kwema has grown to be the man that he is right now at 15 years old. Very inquisitive, that's the mother saying. And she says, especially to those parents or guardians who are dealing with teenage pregnancies within their home, advice from one mother to another, one who has already walked the journey and looks back with nostalgia and remembers that the mother held her hand. The advice from Winnie Minor from Machakos County this morning is support, do not castigate. That child needs you more than ever, especially those towns and stigma. Mtoto amezaa mtoto. I can imagine how much that, would bear, would be too much for one to handle. So support, do not castigate. Now we hear from Martin Oboa. Thank you very much, Winnie Minor, for your time. Martin Oboa, good morning.
Good morning, Ina.
Great.
Good morning.
Great,
yes.
great. Just give us an introduce yourself to our audience this morning.
Good morning, Kenya. My name is Martin Opondo. I'm from Kisumu, but I have a lot of attachment with Nakuru. I'm a father. I'm a parent to 8 children. 3 are in Form 1. 1 is an adult. The rest, 2 are going to do their class 8 exams, and the rest are still minors. They're still under class 5. For me, parenting is a very, very important thing, and I want to say that most people want to start parenting when the children have grown up, when they are reaching their teens. For me, I think parenting starts much earlier. It starts much earlier, even when you are the child is in infancy stage. You, as a parent, I am aware that you have to you bring them up, you give them learning, you give them lessons, which they take, and when you leave one part of lesson out, then it becomes a problem.
Okay, Martin Opondo, let me interject there. Kindly, could you kindly lean forward, or rather sit upright and hold the gadget to your face so that we could see you better?
Sorry for that.
It's okay. Congratulations, father of 8. Since we've had the only person who might have, come close to the number of children that we have, and we know in Africa we do not count children. As I learned from CAC Executive Director, that is Tim Ekesa, we do not count our children. While I'm proud to come from a large family, a family of 7. So it's good to have you on board as a father of 8. While you were talking about, the role that parents have to play has to start from an infancy kind of level so that you can have this better communication going forward. From a father's standpoint, the issue of dealing with sexuality, how has been your experience, just trying to impart knowledge on your children in regard to that, a subject that most people find very awkward as a parent?
Well, talking sexuality with children, as I say, that all this communication doesn't start at one go, and you have to give it in bits, and sometimes you have to also do it when children start asking questions. One thing I'm noticing is that we don't have parent-to-children time. As a family, if you're a parent, you need to have parent-children time where you can have meetings in between, a day for meetings for children, individual with the individual or with groups, where you correct each other, where they also give feedback to you as a parent. For me, I think this is what has helped a lot. As I said, I have the children I'm parenting already. Some of them have graduated into marriage, and the ones that I have here, we sit, we discuss issues, and we don't have any barrier in terms of discussion when we talk matters of life and matters of health.
Okay, fine.
So
there's
issues of sexuality. Of course, we don't just talk.
Continue, Martin. Continue.
I was saying, even matters of sexuality, we don't talk sexuality as the sexual act. we talk sexuality as issues. I mean, the communication, the world of communication has brought in a lot of things. And there are some of these things we give them with restrictions. For me, if you're still in school, you will not have a phone of your own. You will be using the family. You either use mine or you use the mama's. Very, very, but whenever you want it, if you want to communicate with a friend, you just come and ask for a phone, and then you'll be given the phone, and then of course you'll be, because we also don't have open communication like that. You'll get time to talk to your friends. So when you know that I can ask for a phone from my family, then I'll get it. Something else is we have issues of television. Children like cartoons, and some cartoons, sometimes you can say that you want to guide the cartoons that the children want. They love cartoons. My children love cartoons so much. But one thing that I've realized is some cartoons, and even the current content that we have in the TV nowadays, some of them have people of same-sex relationships and things like that, which for us is strange, but for them, when they hear that, then sometimes you hear them, they say like, ule ameblona nani, ule ni, this one and I behave kama ako gay. So it brings in an opportunity to start talking about that, and also for us to instill the virtues, the values that we have, either Christian or even family values that we have.
Now,
so
Martin, let me just interject. There's a question that we're already getting on our social media platforms in regard that you've said that you're also a parent who your children have already graduated to have their own homes in a marriage setup. Just answer that question. Does parenting ever stop?
Yes.
Does parenting for you ever stop now that they are on their own? Or do you still feel that you need to still continue looking out for them?
My daughter is married and she gave birth recently, and the first person she called when she was going to give birth was myself. So, to tell me, Daddy, nimeenda hosi. It is based on the foundation that was created not when she had grown up. It's a foundation that was created when she was young. She's so attached to me, and so are my other children are also attached in a way to me. So the issues of parenting, if she is getting a problem in a marriage, she knows that she has somebody whom she can discuss with these things.
This conversation.
And I'm open to that. So it doesn't stop for me. It is a continuous process. That's why I say I have under me, I have those 8, but at least for one who have graduated, one who is graduated, I'm not counting her now about this, but I'm still giving her that support whenever she needs it.
Okay, very well said. That is Martin Opondo, who says under him right now, he has 8 children, and so in total there are 9. One of them who happens to have already started her own family, and says that for him, foundation is key, and that parenting does not stop. It doesn't stop. It is a continuous process. Now, earlier on, we had Pius Nyongesa, who got cut off because of one reason or another. It seems we have you back online. Pius Nyongesa, good morning. Good morning, Nyongesa. How are you?
Regina.
Great. We have you online. We have your voice. We have your sound. So, since we're coming to a culmination of this conversation of sorts, Mr. Nyongesa, I would want to hear an overview of what you've had so far from the parents, and just giving your input in regard to just, parenthood and advice you can give to guardians and parents who have embarked on this journey.
Thank you very much, Madam Regina. I'm happy to be here in this forum of parents, especially talking about our children. Myself, I'm a hotelier, and funny enough, a hotel hosts more of families, and my most guests are children. I'm happy to see Namade. She's from SOS. This is one of my guests. This is Kim Resort. So I'm proud. And when I hear that we are talking about children, I feel like we're on the world. So just to go straight away, I've noted some points here. the most important thing is that actually these children do what we do, not what we say. At the age of 4, you find that they want to discover why is it that daddy and mom stay in the bedroom? Why is it that they have excluded us in a different room? So it is very important to realize that these guys are discovering out. So it is our responsibility to make sure that we be good role models. And also, we can share some points about Mr. Obwar, who has just left the forum. We need to have some time. Let's create very good stories. Like, if we can understand, like now it is 3 months these kids have at home. We be the teachers, we are the role models, and also now we are their security. So we need to take a big role, and they should understand and realize that actually they are very safe with parents and they are very educated parents, because I always tell them, like now, our old great fathers didn't go to school, but because they had some the formal education, they grew up so well. So this is the time, though we have a challenge. When they are at home nowadays, they are exposed to so many things as like other parents have shared. These are food, entertainment, peers, and all other things that are happening. I can also, in other words, appreciate a lot the Hyrax Museum, who have taken a step as is to manage these kids, because we could have been having a problem when they go for a creativity club. They are engaged, and they come up when they come back home, they have some new ideas. Another thing is, as parents, let's understand our children. I don't know if you got my introduction, because I said I'm a father of 4. My firstborn is a girl who is 25 years, is already working now, and we always talk now and then because I have never stopped parenting her, and I'm very proud because she's very, very responsible, very obedient. I've never visited her at school solving a single case. I never went to the university to see whether she was sleeping in the hostels or not. I just went for graduation alone. So I'm proud, and because of the parenting that we are providing as parents. Then the other small girl that you always see, the way she's so she's so poetic. I know with the time she's also told the lie to the other 3 teenagers that are now in a very critical stages where they are exposed to the world. We can see what is happening around. They access the media, but
it seems we are having a bit of a glitch there, but Pius Nyongesa, who is a father of 4, says that he is proud of his children there, one of them being the main doctor, having only not having to go even to just follow up on her, in campus, and that he only went to attend the graduation. That is Pius Nyongesa, a proud father of 4. I want to thank each and every parent who made it to this forum this morning. We started off with a couple, that is Joyce and Luke Toretich of Nakuru County. Nakuru County always comes in handy whenever we are having these surveys on the KBC Kids Talk. We had Nancy, we had John, we had Martin Ogwar, we had Nabadi, we had Beth, as well as Nyongesa there. And Joan, we had Martha Oguna, Janet Wumboy, Winnie, who went further. Winnie Minor from Machakos County today gave us information that most parents required at this point, that she went through teenage pregnancy and now is a proud mother of 2. Her firstborn is aged 15, who is called Musa, and she says for her communication is key, and she's asked those parents and guardians who are dealing with the issue of teenage pregnancies to support and not castigate. Said that stigma was one of the things that she had to deal with, but because the mother, rest her soul in peace, was there, she made it to where she is right now. Martin Opondo, thank you very much, father of 9, as well as, all the other parents who came on board. I may not remember you or mention your name here, but thank you very much for giving us that insight, just sharing that parenthood. And some of the take home that I've learned as a parent is that it's the high time that we had those serious conversations with our children. And to avoid the awkwardness is that we have to set, just have a good setup to have this open communication lines with our children. Secondly is that we need to embrace community parenting, that instead of being quick to capture that video, to take that photo and send it to the mother or the father, showing or rather depicting their children going out of line, that you have the guts and the courage to correct these children. Because in the African society, children do not just belong to an individual. Children belong to the community. Now we'd want to just, I don't know, there's some who are already on the waiting room. How about we just wave and tell you thank you. Thank you for coming on board. Members that, yes, thank you very much. We have Timothy Ekese there. I think I can see him. Thank you very much, Joan there. Ruth Oguna, Winnie there, and Pius Nyongesa. Namadi too, thank you, who told us that she got cut off when the sun switched off the Wi-Fi. Thank you very much. I'm Regina Manyara. I wish you a great day ahead.